That I killed him. That right?
Alright. Yeah, play spot. Get the body, get out now. Get the body, get out. Alright, 200
I have like 9 builds. I'm gonna wait for you.
I was just stacking this shit, right?
Yeah, you do.
Ready? Face up your nutter. Here, head this. Oh, fuck. I'm gonna do. Alright, I'm gonna good spot to get me.
I'm trying to.
I'm missing.
I went through it. I'm good. Good match. Here. Take match.
140. Getting.
Okay.
Oh, I'm getting out. Alright.
I'm good match.
Got me.
Got it.
Wait, come here. Go for it. I got it.
Okay.
100 white skin. 100 white skin. 44 on this boy. 50.
Just trying to.
Oh, we have it.
Run that up.
Alright, top 9.
Yeah. I'm happy for this.
Alright. Come for a body.
Do that. 100. Jump again.
Dead. And my body.
100 duo. Below me.
Got a body.
That's really good.
Shot. Love. Box. Miss. Yep.
Yeah, I'll be.
100.
I'm trying.
He's blinded. He's low.
30 white.
Got it. Nice. I need that side. Perfect.
You need to build. I have 0.
Everything. From the street. I'll farm through here.
I have nothing.
I got the A build.
I need shield.
Here.
I'm reloading everything and popping a bit.
Top 5. We're like one out of the duo only.
Yeah.
We'll be able to get a free side for you.
He knocked one of the it's all solos. Yeah. I'm gonna go down.
Good. Your box. Good. Got you.
On my left. Fighting here, 100, 23, 23. Shit, bro.
Crazy boy.
Let's go, dude. Let's go.
Nothing. I didn't hit them, but they're like shambles. They're white.
On me.
Box. Dead. Wait, dead. Coming.
He has his pumping up. I have no shot.
Coming.
My wall. Trying to just wait. Crack him 1 HP, 1 HP.
They get it. Nice. Go.
They have nothing, by the way. They can fight in the world. He meets in the sky. Box, 100.
Box.
180. Decided I killed him.
Can you finish it?
Oh, wait, what? Did we get that?
Oh, you're good.
Nice. Fully box. Try your jump back. In your box.
Resi.
Box. Assault. What? Oh. Yeah, attacking you. Oh,
Target me.
attacking target. I'm going front.
I'm good. I'm waiting on you. Am I missing us? Yeah, you're back.
I'm up here.
Alright.
Take that.
I'm out of heal. Or no, I got mass on me. I'm good. I have no idea how to heal though. Hey, come here. There's a time to take my drum. They're height distracted. I think that's for a kill. Okay.
Jumping off.
So yeah. Wait, come here. You're free. Yeah, wait. I think it's back and forth. It's good. And I'm fucking coming to crazy shit. Come here. 3, 2, 1, go. I'm 5-0-3. I'm the man. Where are you going, sorry? I think they're running. Wait, come here. On it all, maybe?
On your head, right here. On my head.
Here, come on. 34 now.
He went down.
He's in my cage, right? He's in my cage.
Oh no.
160 on him. Nice.
Have a body.
Alright, come here. Go. Good. You up that if you want. Watch your head. Watch your bottom too.
Looking back.
Yeah, that's sorry, that good. Alright, watch your wood. Back that, yeah. Here, come here, let's go through. I felt really get mad. I was just cheap as fuck for no reason. Come here. Get free. Oh, I think go up. Not gonna go.
I have it.
You got it? Rick, are you sweet to go? He's on the med kit. 17.
Only. What I'm up. I have 70.
Run cap and go down, alright? Come here. Come all the way down it. Fall all the way down. I was just gonna kill you. I'm from the street.
Back. Right here. Dropping down on the right. They're in wood. They just drop. Pride is good on the right. 1 HP. Crack him.
Rank. 17.
I'm more correct.
Here comes it. Hit the smoking and drop all the way down again, okay? Up front like that, bro. Fuck. Hey, oh my fucking god. Fuck. Hit the body.
I can't. Tank front.
I got the body. Yeah, I got it. First.
100 on him. Nice. 100 on the one.
Alright, need master now.
Pride, 1 HP. Gotta kill him.
Get it. I'm busy. Get that mistake.
Got it.
I'm out of healing. Alright, come here. Go, come out this way, alright? Come down, go slow. Alright. There, you heal real quick, alright? 58.
Just right here.
They're out of healing.
My bad.
I went all the way down again.
Popping a chuggy.
Might play up, honestly.
He's at the comments. I'm waiting for them. 120.
111.
Oh, popping a chuggy.
Box, come here.
You're alone. I'm popping a chuggy.
100. Dead. Wait, that's not you? I'm retarded. They played down to you. Oh, dead. Oh man, I got triple sight from my body. Alright, it's not 4. Let me throw though. Let's throw it down. Okay. Nice, good shit. You can play your siphon. I think he went down the mound behind you. Nice. Alright, it's top 3, 1 duo. There's old broken metal ahead, no, that's you just like this. Loader your shotgun and shit. Nice, get the body and go up that. Alright, you should drop a bit of treasure and then you should go up. You're top 2. You're gonna go from storm, I think. Go up, I think. Oh, never mind. Yeah, I said it was cookie anyway. Good try. That was a game.
And just like that, we ended up placing 2nd overall, right behind Ritual and Acres, ending the day 637 points. That was just enough to secure an FNCS qualification in a single day in a tournament that's supposed to take 2. We didn't just qualify, we proved that it's possible to end FNCS early if you play it right. If you guys enjoyed the run, make sure to like, subscribe to the video and the channel for more FNCS content like this. And I'll see you guys in the next one.
How many tournaments did Peterbot and Vino play? 0. They did not queue for a single tournament. Peterbot ended up snaking Vino last night as soon as him and Poyo won the PWC finals. And Peterbot and Poyo are back together after their 2-day mini break, I guess we could call it. There is potentially a slight twist though, because I have heard a couple of different things about Poyo might try to IGL, but then I've also heard that Peter's just gonna suck it up in IGL because he wants to play with Poyo, so he's going to be full grinding again. Literally played like 4 regions of the Div Cup today. We have so many brand new duos as well to talk about after the snake season that happened yesterday. A lot of people got really cooked from it. We're gonna go over all of it in today's video. Real quick before this video starts though, please subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, as we try our best to upload daily competitive content for you guys. If you guys want to support me more, going away the best way to do so is by using code KDOG in the Fortnite item shop. We shout out somebody every single video who deems me proof of them using my code. So shout out to this person on the screen right now. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Make sure you guys follow me on my Twitch because we watch the finals of every single one of these tournaments. Without further ado though, we're gonna start off on NA with the duo that finished in first place of the opens of Shadow and Virgo, one of the brand new duos. I don't even know if I can call this a new duo. These guys have gotten back together so many times now. Javi ended up dropping Virgo so that he could go and play with yeah, some of these new teams are crazy. We're gonna get into all of them, but Shadow and Virgo today finished with 635 points, won 1 out of their 10 matches, 106 total elims as well. Second place was Cooper and Curly on 597. I feel like these guys are always so good in opens, but they have been really struggling in finals. Third place in their first Div Cup opens together, Cold and Rapid finished with 508 182 points, 3 out of 10 game wins, 111 total elims. I have to admit, so excited to see what this duo can do in the finals this weekend. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they just won the first finals. 4th place was Agers in Ritual on 568, Muzz and Sphinx, the Cash Cup winners from last week. 6th place is a duo that I really want to talk about of Kanata and Tyler. Yeah, I don't think very many people would have expected this duo to come from this, but we know Kanata did unfortunately get snaked by Rapid. He was then kind of just looking through his options, and this is what he had to say about it.
And I'd rather just win everything on West than play top 10, 15 on Central. Because the problem with Arc on Central, playing with Arc on Central is not worth it. I already told you guys the problems with it. I would rather go with the West than play with him on West. I would rather quit. It's either that, play with Eulology, or quit the game. So I'm in a predicament in 3 where I just have to quit or go to West and win everything on West. So brother over here is caught. I'm just the odd man out in the tier 1s. I think the tier 1s in the region think I'm shit. I don't know what I could do to like prove that I'm not. I don't think winning matters anymore. Like if I had a good IGL, that's where we would do well. I don't really do anything like bad or nothing like that, but I don't know.
I honestly do feel really bad for him because I still feel like Kanata is in that upper tier of players. If you literally just go based off his placements, he's won a Div Cup this season. He just placed 2nd place in the Div Cup. He placed 5th place at the last Global Championships, the highest placing NA player, and he literally has no teammate options now somehow, and might be forced to go back to West. I don't like fully hate the idea of him qualifying to land on West with Arc and then coming back to play NA for like the rest of the year. But Kanata, if he wants to continue to play on Central, is definitely going to have to hope for another Snake season to happen. 7th place is Crazy in Creon. 8th place is Dolger in Eshu. 9th place is another brand new duo of Curve in Vino. 499 points for them, 3 out of 10 game wins, 84 total elims. This is one of the other duos that a lot of people are really questioning because everybody right now is saying there's no way Vino wants to still play on NA. Like Vino, all respect to Curve, but I don't know if I can necessarily say that when Vino's mind envisions playing on NA, it was going to be with a controller player of Curve. We saw Vino go in backseat chat and say, I got multiple tier 1s on EU I could play with, but I refuse to hear the statement, you got impact. So I mean, there is so many good players right now that just straight up don't have, like, I don't want to say good options, but like more established options. Curve is one of the more up-and-coming players in the game, though. I think he is super good, and I still think Vino and Curve could be good. I just know that as soon as Vino gets a better option, he's going to kick Curve to the side. And then 10th place was G-Money in Preston. We have some other brand new duos to go over, like 11th place, another team that has gotten back together. I mean, 100 times at this point, I guess. Booga and Craze are back together. Booga dropped Reed. We were all waiting for it, and he is now back with Craze. I mean, do we really see that much of a difference between Booga playing with Reed or Craze? In my personal opinion, I really don't. We're going to see the story unfold one too many times. I feel like we kind of know what to expect out of this team. 4th place of Noah W plays in Jace. Peterbot and Poyo finished in 13th place, 478 points for them, 2 out of 10 game wins, 104 total elims. What do I personally think about this duo getting back together? If I'm just being like completely honest, I did kind of want to see Peter play at least one Div Cup in that fragile role, but I think he does understand. At the same time, he doesn't want to like fully lose Poyo. If someone else is going to snake their teammates and play with Poyo, and maybe he knows Poyo's just not going to forever come back to him whenever he wants. And I do believe that Peter is still going to be IGLing this weekend, even though I think we've all heard a lot of things about Poyo being the one to IGL now. I could be wrong though, I guess we'll see in the finals. I also want to talk about how this duo dropped a world record 36 elim win today.
Come on. Oh, 200! Bang! Peter Polo! Yes, sir. 1v1.
Vano's sick watching them.
Waterfalls down. 40! 200! Bang! And that's why Polo is the greatest teammate ever, bro.
We know this duo is insane at fighting. We know they're probably the best PWC team in the world, but they just need to do it in a Div Cup finals now. 23rd place is Donnie and Chance, 24th is Ethical and Pump, 26th place is Clicks and Higgs on 390, I honestly feel like this duo has a lot to prove this weekend. I can't be the only one that feels like they have been a little bit disappointing. Like the first Div Cup finals, they placed second place. They then went on a vacation in the second week. And then the last couple weeks, they have done almost nothing in the finals, really. No consistency from them at all. Haven't been the greatest EWC team. I really want to see more out of a duo that has the aspirations to win an FNCS this year. Oliver OG in 27th, Visuals in Braids in 28th, and then Threats in Veer in 47th. We have some names just outside the top 50 as always, like 74th place of Reet and Javi on 309. Qual is probably going to be around like 680 to 700 points, so they'll still need like a 400 point day tomorrow. One of the teams that top 5 the Div Cup last week in 83rd place of Kingling and Rise. Josh and Yamzo in 100th place, only 279 points for them. Not really sure what went wrong for these guys. I feel like this is always a team that like top 5s, top 10s in the opens, and then still does really good in the finals. So them being in 100th place after day number 1 is not what I expected. And then a duo that really had a rough day was 197th place of Acorn and Bolts on 202. They're going to need almost a 500 point day to be able to make it to the finals. So we really do have a lot of teams on NA that are going to be on Qual watch tomorrow. Moving over to the final statistics here now, Cole dominated the elim and damage category, 65 total elims, 19,000 damage. I really do feel as if Rapid just unlocks his potential to the max when he plays with him. Curly finished with the second most elims with 56, Poyo in 3rd with 56 as well, Aegis in 4th, Virgo in 5th, Shadow in 6th, Muzz in 7th, Peter in 8th, Vino in 9th, and then Kanata in 10th. Then for the final team stats here, Cold and Rapid finished with the most elims, 106th, Shadow and Virgo in 2nd, and then Peter and Poyo in 3rd. Cooper and Curly won the most games in the opens. Let's actually move on now to how EU ended up going, because we have some crazy new duos I want to talk about. Now in EU, we got some brand new, very exciting duos as well that I really want to talk about. Let's start off though with the team that absolutely dominated the opens. In first place by over 140 points was Vico in Malabuca. 646 points for them, 2 out of 10 game wins, 114 total elims as well, which was the most elims in all of day 1 of the opens. The only duo also to get over 100 elims. I don't know if it was Malabuca going to 0 ping or if they just needed some time, but this duo has literally done a complete 180 from the beginning of the season now, and they honestly look like one of the best teams in the entire world now. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they won the Div Cup finals this weekend. Second place, the team that I have been calling the best team in the world of Shark and Teeny on 506. 3 out of 10 game wins, 93 elims for them. I do want to talk about something potentially very exciting for this duo, because Team Liquid actually ended up tweeting out a shark emoji. I don't know when the last time we had a Liquid EU player was, and of course nothing's like confirmed yet, but Shark and Teeny are probably like 2 of the biggest name players that could get bought out of their contracts. Since Big already has Vico and Malabuca for EWC, Liquid could once again get Shark and Teeny for EWC as well. They've been absolutely popping off, already qualified for the LAN event. It makes so much sense, and it would be really cool to see Liquid Shark and Liquid Teeny. Third place is Chino and Pablo on 505. Fourth place, tied with them, is Wox and Tanya on 505 as well. Honestly, very excited for this duo right here. They made the Div Cup finals last week, really did struggle though, but it's definitely a positive sign that they're still looking to go back-to-back in qual weeks now. For Venya especially, who has been struggling in Chapter 7, Wox was looking super good today. Curious to see how they're gonna look tomorrow. Fifth place was Chuck, sixth place was Darman Demas, seventh place was Noah Riley and Vampy, eighth place was Truly and Zynox, ninth place was Zabo, and then rounding out the top 10 is Mr. Savage in his brand new duo of Bello. 443 points for them, 1 out of 10 game wins, 50 elims, 16.2 average placement. Now, if you guys don't know that much about Bello, I don't think he's ever qualified for a grand final before. He definitely is a lot more of an underrated fragger, but he is a fragger. And I'm not exactly sure if this duo just came to be like this morning before the Div Cup, or if this was planned for a couple of days now. I did first start hearing about Bello a lot more during the like Victory Cup days, whether it was the Simpsons Victory Cups or just like the Victory Cups in the seasons past that. He was always just absolutely constantly popping off of those. I feel like he won a game literally every single finals. He's placed top 10 in a Cash Cup finals. He grinds basically every single NA tournament as well. He is a huge grinder, and something else that I really like about his play style is he's the type of player that's going to stick on his IGL. I wouldn't necessarily say that like Velo is the type of player that's going to lead an FNCS Grand Finals or a Div Cup Finals in the Elims or anything, but he can play that good supporting fragging role, stay on Mr. Savage, find Elims together. Velo is also such a consistent qualifier into finals. He's not currently like the most consistent Div Cup Finals performer yet, but that's where somebody like Mr. Savage comes in who has experience in those types of lobbies. And I really want to see Savage make his first Div Cup Finals of Chapter 7, so I really hope they're able to qualify. I also want to show some clips of him talking about it, and you can just tell how much this performance really did for his mental.
At the start of the stream, I said, I'm playing with Velo. Everybody, OFN, oh fuck no. Oh, this kid's crazy, bro. We needed this, bro. We needed this so bad.
Let's go.
We needed this so bad. Bro, we've been straight up in the fucking, we've been in the trenches, bro.
So happy for them, man. The vibes seem amazing between them right now as well. Very excited to see what they can do. 11th place is Pix in Frantic. 12th place is President Casper. 15th place is Sky in Scroll. Focus and Thomas HD in 19th. Prax in Rezon, the other brand new duo. Actually, we know that Rezon did drop Mr. Savage for Prax right here, so it looks like both Rezon and Savage have a chance to be able to qualify to finals with the new duos. And then Hari and Cammy in 21st. A duo that this finals might be make or break for is 28th place of Chap and Flixie on 394. 1 out of 10 game wins, 79 elims, absolutely fragged out. We just know that this duo hasn't had any consistency in finals so far. Comeback and Mixin in 32nd, Ghost and Tayson in 36th, Pick and Hurst in 45th, and then Alba in 47th. As always, we got some names outside of the top 50, like 53rd place of Swizzy and Pixie on 343, iDrop and Marius in 64th, Mongrel and Turtle are in exactly 100th place, 283 points for them, 1 out of 10 game wins, 22 total elims. I have to admit, I wasn't as locked in on Mongrel and Turtle today as I was on like Savage and Velo because I wanted to see how the brand new duo dynamic was working between them, but this does just seem to be the classic position that Mongrel and Turtle are always in, and they are going to need a very big day number 2 if they want to make their first Div Cup finals together. A duo that's trying not to miss back-to-back finals weeks is 106th place of Queasy and Merstash on 278, Ping and Kiro in 116th, Seti and Prax in their first tournament together was pretty rough, 183rd place for them, 231 points, only 31 total elims, definitely probably not the start that they were hoping for. Badil and Kylie in 217th, Trulex and Chicho in 224th. Then Peterbot did end up playing EU today with Panzer, and they yeah, almost 500th place for them, only 73 points in 9 total matches. Yapko this week just wasn't going to be able to play, so Panzer did end up picking up Peterbot, and yeah, their tournament's probably over before it even really started. Moving over to the final statistics here now, Malibuka finished with the most elims, 59 total elims for him. Vico finished with the most damage, getting 19,470. Vico in second for elims as well with 55. Shark in third, Demus in fourth, Pablo in fifth, Flixie in 6th, Jule in 7th, Tini in 8th, Chap in 9th, and then Darm in 10th. I'm very curious where Velo finished. Okay, Velo finished 25th most elims and then 20th most damage. Where did Mr. Savage finish? 46th. Okay, 24 elims for him. So almost had the exact same amount of elims. For Velo with 26 and then Mr. Savage with 24. And then for the actual final team stats, Vico and Malibuka 114 elims, Shark and Tini in second, Darman Demus in third, and then a bunch of teams won 3 games today. Other than that though, let me know what you guys think about everything that we went over in the comment section down below. I just want to say I love and appreciate every single person that's been here and shows up to support, whether you watch the videos only during FNCS time, whether you watch me even during all the Victory Cup time, or if you guys are just coming back now. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I truly do love and appreciate all you boys. Remember, you can accomplish anything that you put your mind to. Sub up to this channel if you guys do. We try our best to upload daily competitive content. Do just that when you're right here. Please go say it all. Fortnite item shop if you guys want to support me even more. Thank God for another day. Peace out.
Another day and another snaking. We have surprise, Peterbot and Pollo
back together. Peterbot and Venom didn't even queue up a single tournament, but I want to go through why Peterbot and Poyo split and what this could mean for the duo going forward. And now, who is Venom playing with, because you will never, ever guess it. I also want to go through the Elite Series finals, talk about who qualified, landed, who missed out, because we had a very exciting tournament with, again, a bit of drama. We now have Yonzo furious at Click, and yeah, there's lots to talk about. Let's jump into it. These kids are killing me, man. I filmed this entire video talking about why Pete and Poyo split up, what Pete's reasoning for that was, and then why they're not playing together anymore. Now they're back together. I'm gonna leave it in the video because at this point, by the time I post this video, Pete and Poyo might have split again. And honestly, I do think the Inside Pete game on stream today talking about why him and Poyo split is important, because even though they're playing together again, it was a real split. There is a reason why they split up, and there's a reason why they haven't been doing as well together as a duo in Battle Royale, and this is the reason. So I'm gonna leave it in the video, but in case you're confused at all, yes, Pete and Poyo are back together. We do have other teams to talk about as well, but I'll talk about that after I explain why Pete and Poyo split up. We did get an answer on why they split up, and it is what I guessed yesterday. Pete doesn't want to IGL. Now again, I'm going to be using that word a lot in case you somehow don't know. IGL is in-game leader, the one who makes the decisions for the team, right? Usually if you're a fragger, you have an in-game leader. A lot of teams kind of, go through these roles a little bit more fluid than that. Some kind of IGL, some don't. But most teams have someone who makes the decision. And usually that person has to understand the game on a deeper level, and it takes a lot more time and effort in a different regard. But Pete also talked about the fact that he was willing to play with Poyo if Poyo IGL'd, if he stepped into that role, and Poyo said no. So that is why Pete is playing with Venom, because he just doesn't want to IGL anymore. And honestly, it seems confusing maybe if you don't like watch Fortnite at a super high level or kind of follow these guys that closely, but I think, at least in my opinion, after watching this game for, almost 8 years now, I think every single tier 1, like top fragger, like the best players in the region, they could be IGLs if they dedicated more time to learning how the game works, VOD reviewing, figuring out rotations, learning the mobility, learning where other teams are and things like that. But most of them just don't want to. Not what they enjoy with the game. Most of the top tier fraggers just want to jump into zone wars and 1v1s and work on their mechanics. Maybe they aim train a little bit. They just want to be crazy at killing people. And yes, there still takes an insane amount of knowledge and understanding of the game to be a good fragger. You have to know, when to get your surge, when not to get surge, how to rotate with your teammate without getting hit, when to block the back tap, when to identify a refresh. There's still a lot of skill that goes into being a fragger, but a lot of what goes into being an IGL is quite boring, at least for most fraggers. You got to sit there and VOD review, you got to figure out rotation timing, you have to learn the new meta every time it changes, you need to know where other teams are positioning, when you're in endgame, what layer you should be on, when you should go for high ground, if zone's pulling up the mountain, should you do this? It changes with every meta, and that's why a lot of pros who have been good at it in the past usually get burnt out from doing it and sometimes go back to being a fragger. Think about Kanata going back to being a fragger, and now Peterbot. There's a lot of cases of this, so I think Poyo could be a phenomenal IGL, especially working with a really good coach like Razaru. It makes it that much easier because they can then simplify it for you and they can do it for you. Instead of you having to go out and VOD review and figure out what other teams are doing, they can come to you and be like, look, this team's doing really well because they're doing this, this, and this. Let's learn how you can do this, this, and this. And it helps you kind of learn the game better. But Peterbot just doesn't want to do that. And honestly, I get it. I do believe if Peterbot dedicated 14 hours to the game again every single day like he used to, stayed crazy mechanical, and did all this VOD reviewing and learning the game, he would still be one of the best, if not the best players in the world. Like, it's just obviously what he does, but he just seems a little bit burnt out and doesn't want to put that time in. Where he can still be one of the best fraggers in the world with honestly much less time spent on the game. Once your mechanics are already at like an S tier level, it doesn't take as much to maintain them or just stay up there with the best players. Look at Cole. Cole doesn't play the game anywhere near as much as a lot of other pros, and it's also not a coincidence he's one of the main fraggers who's never tried to IGL. He's never been like, you know what, I want to learn how the game works, I want to learn where they're dropping, what's happening. No, Cole just goes out there, tells him to kill, and he kills him. That's what he does. It takes a lot less time, and that's why I think Peterbot wants to go into that role. So even though I very well could see Pete and Poyo get back together again in the future, this does feel like what happened last year. If you remember, this exact same thing happened with Trios. Peterbot and Poyo won Globals. Trios got announced. Peterbot and Poyo split because Pete didn't want to IGL. He then had Poyo get qualified to land without him. Poyo got locked up. Pete couldn't play with him. Pete tried to play with him. It didn't work, and then ended up Pete goes back to him. So there is a world where Pete kind of maybe snaps out of this, or maybe he gets motivated again and wants to start IGLing, but as long as he doesn't want to, this duo is going to be tough, and you can see that in their gameplay. And we've been talking about this for the last month or so. Pete not learning the new surge, not figuring out the meta. I don't think it's because Pete can't. He just doesn't want to. He doesn't want to dedicate the time to it. So, understandable if you're a Pete hater and you're waiting for Pete's fall off. Maybe this lack of motivation will be the time where Pete struggles a bit. But honestly, I agree with Pete's decision of, hey, if I don't have as much time to spend on the game, I'm not as passionate as I was, I still want to be crazy, but I don't want to spend 16 hours on it, then being an IGL is not probably the role for you. And again, you've got a lot of IGLs out there who probably don't spend 16 hours a day on the game, but they're not those good fighting IGLs, right? Like if you want to be at Rapid's level right now, where Rapid's rising the ranks, really making a name for himself, being a fantastic IGL, and also just putting people down, you got to spend an insane amount of time on the game. And most pros just get burnt out if they do that. If they do it for a while, they end up giving up and slowing down. So we'll have to see how it plays out. But as for right now, all the duos are the same. I just wanted to give a little bit more of an explanation based on what Peterbot said on stream for why they split, to hopefully try and clear it up for some of you guys. Again, I know Pete haters are going to say Pete's just coping, he sucks now. You can say that if you want to. I'm just trying to give you his thought process and mine looking from the outside in. All right, now that we know Peterbot and Poyo are back together again, what does that mean for the other team? What does that mean for Veno? Now, this is a question that confused me because a lot of people saw Peterbot and Poyo going back together again. I called it. I'm not going to try and brag about that because a lot of you guys saw it coming too. That wasn't a crazy prediction. But where does that leave Veno? This is the much harder question to answer, and one that I couldn't figure out. I didn't know who Veno was going to play with. Veno is only going to play with a tier 1 fragger or someone of that very top division. That only leaves a few different teams, right? You've got like Ritual and Ages, you've got Rapid and Cole, you've got Acorn and Bolts, you've got Clicks and Higgs, you've got Josh and Iomzo, players of that caliber, and none of them want to split right now. Clicks and Higgs really locked in together despite not doing the best right now. Again, I'll talk about that later in the video. I don't see them splitting. We have Ages and Ritual right now. They've both joined Gen G together, really close friends, get along really well together. Ages has already turned down playing with Peterbot to play with Ritual multiple times. So at that point, I don't think he's leaving Ritual. We have had Acorn and Bolts. They've now both joined Twisted Minds together as well. Even though we now have Rapid and Cold also representing Twisted Minds, Rapid just announced that he joined. Technically, they already have their Esports World Cup team. So Acorn and Bolts could split up theoretically, and it wouldn't cause any issues for that. But Acorn and Bolts get along really, really well right now. That leaves teams like Josh and Iomzo. They just qualified LAN together today and are getting along really well. Again, talk about it in a little bit. So it doesn't really leave a lot of teams for Veno, and this one I did not see coming at all. Veno is now playing with Curve. Now, this one's going to catch a lot of you guys off guard, but let me explain why this happened. Now, it's interesting for a few reasons. Firstly, Curve's now an IGL. When Curve and Kanata are playing together, Curve was actually IGLing. Despite being a Controlla player, he's been working very closely with Thomas 5X, which is a new coach on the scene. He's been working with a whole bunch of pros around the world. Vico Malibuca, he's been working a whole bunch with Curve. He's been working with Veno, and I think that's how this came about. I think because Thomas 5X is working so closely with both clients, they want to give it a go and see how it works out. Now, Veno actually said today on stream when talking about why he's playing with Peterbot and this and that recently he likes to pick teammates a lot of vibes, not just skill. Now, Peterbot is obviously a choice for skill. The vibes were probably going to be a bit of an issue, and maybe that's why they decided not to play together, because Pete and Veno have now not beat off in a single tournament, and they've split. But Veno did say he likes to pick teammates of vibes these days, because at a certain level, once pros get to a certain skill level, vibes are the most important thing. And I can definitely see where Veno's coming from with that one. So I guess if the vibes are good with him and Curve, Curve is a really phenomenal player who is very up and coming in my opinion. Working with a coach, been grinding really, really hard. His placements are getting better and better. He seems super motivated, and that's what Veno usually likes in a teammate. I think Veno right now is in full grind mindset. That's why him and Cold probably just weren't going to work, because Veno wants to play the game all the time, dedicate a bunch of time. And if Curve's going to do that, especially because they have the same coach who's also an up-and-coming coach, very motivated, that could be a recipe for success. So while it's a weird duo, I do see where they're coming from. Now, that leaves a few question marks as well. Kanata now currently has no teammate. Kanata has now been dropped again in several days. Despite the fact that he just came first and second in the last two Div finals, he now has no teammate. And we have Booga splitting up with Reed, because it's supposed to be Booga and Reed in Battle Royale, and now it's Booga and Craze for both game modes, I believe, for Battle Royale and Reload. Now, it's hard to follow right now. I don't know what that means for Kingling, don't know what that means for Reed, I don't know what that means for Kanata. So we could get some kind of Kanata-Reed duo, but historically, it's not like they don't get along, but they do get along. You know what I mean? Like, they're not close. They haven't really played together that much in the past. I don't see this one happening, but maybe we could see Kanata go back to IGLing for Kingling. Maybe Reed wants to go back to IGLing to play with Kingling, but it's what I talked about a fair bit on stream if you tuned to my watch party today. We kind of have an imbalance right now of fraggers to IGLs on NA. There is not enough good IGLs to play with all the good fraggers, so either some of the fraggers have to become IGLs, or we need new IGLs, which could be where we see someone else come over from EU. I asked this question to Venom on stream, and he actually talked about how maybe Queasy could come over potentially. I'm not entirely sure at this point. Half of this could change by the time tomorrow's video comes out again. Everything is changing super quick, but I want to keep you guys updated on what's going on with the teams because it's a bit crazy on NA right now. So let's look at who made LAN, who qualified, who popped off. Kicking off on NA, I already spoiled this one a little bit. Peterbot and Pollo winning it on 420 points, winning 4 of the 8 matches. Winning half the matches they played, getting a hat trick to close out the tournament. They got a 9 elim win in game number 2, and they got a 6 elim win, a 16 elim win, and a 7 elim win in the last 3 games. They absolutely popped off. Some of the other games were a little bit rough. 2 of their games actually going down in 18th. So, you know, only 2 teams went down before them. Because this format's kind of crazy, 18th is actually still around like rotating zones. It's not that early in the game, but definitely still not great. But they did pop off when they made their end games. Probably wondering, did Peterbot keep Clicks? Did he grief Clicks like he said he was going to? He actually didn't. Now, there was a few times where Clicks was on high ground and Peterbot went up very aggressively on height, and some of those games it did actually go poorly for both of them, messing up both their games. But Peterbot also did that to a lot of other teams as well. So I don't think it was a thing that was targeted at Clicks. Oh, Clicks is on height, we got to go for height and grief him. I think Pete actually played pretty normal in this tournament, and it makes sense because Peterbot and Pollo, apparently their vibes were not too great coming into today. Sounds kind of crazy after they won the tournament, but there was a lot of people, again, in Fax's call, all the pros who were in the calls last night, as these two were breaking up as a team, who kind of said, look, the vibes aren't great. It's pretty mutual in the sense that they had that discussion. Pete asked Pollo to go to IGL. That's not going to work. It wasn't like a snake eating. It's not like Pete, went behind Pollo's back and found a teammate and then just dropped him in a message and now he has no idea. It was still very collaborative, but obviously those players weren't feeling too great about it and maybe weren't super keen to play together. And I think that almost maybe made them play a little bit better in the sense that it made them slow down a little bit in the early and mid game. Pete was still running around getting kills. Pollo was chilling and Slurpee, but they weren't just straight up as a duo running into teams trying to grief them and mess up their tournaments. It was a lot more just playing for the win, and that's what they did. And even though they already had the land spot secured, it was still $20,000 on the line. So I'm glad to see Pete and Pollo took this seriously and tried to win. There was a game where they dropped on Muzz right at the very end of the tournament, but again, Muzz was in first place, Peterbot was in 4th. I think that was still a very targeted attack, but it wasn't trying to grief them or be weird. It was just trying to take them out so they could beat them on the leaderboard. Again, normal Pete stuff, not what we've seen from Peterbot recently. Now, in 2nd place, we had Cold and Rapid on 403 points, which is insane. We had the same 2 teams come top 2 in the first 2 qualifiers. Like, the consistency both these teams have is insane, especially for Cold and Rapid, who were being contested. They were supposed to be getting double contested. Dragon and his teammate were dropping on them as well as Ruga and Kingling. Dragon ended up leaving and dropping on Cold and Bolt, Bolt and Acorn, which is why they did so poorly. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But Cold and Rapid were at least single contested and still did phenomenally well. Now, both those teams already had their LAN tickets, so it didn't matter whether they get in the top 2 or not, their spots would roll down. So the 2 teams that qualified to LAN from NA in this tournament was Muzz and Sphinx on 310. So a bit of a drop down the leaderboard, but our highest placing team that didn't have a LAN spot. Now, their last couple games were their worst. Going into game number 7, they were absolutely popping off. They had a 6th, 4th, 3rd, 1st. Then, unfortunately, maybe the pressure got to them. They got targeted a little bit. They got a 10th and a 12th. And then in game number 8, with the LAN on the line, everything on the line, Muzz and Sphinx both died out of the sky with a really bad buzz path saying that 2 of the teams, 2 separate teams, both got good assault rifles and took them down. So a 0-point game 8 with the LAN on the line, but luckily things went a little bit south for some of the other teams as well. The teams around on the leaderboard, Josh Yomzo and Curvin Kanata, things got a little bit crazy. Josh and Yomzo ended up getting peed by Clicks and Higgs, which messed up their early game and pushed them into a building, and Yomzo got the God Dev chest. If you guys don't know how these work, there are certain chests around the map that have an extremely slow drop rate. They got 4 exotics out of this one, including the exotic Shockwave launcher. Now, Josh and Yomzo were pretty quick to jump on social media, and they weren't too happy about Clicks making these plays on them. Honestly, I did want to hear more of Yomzo's thought process, because to me, Clicks was just trying to drop a high kill game to pop off in the tournament. If he managed to drop a really high kill win, he actually could have qualified for the LAN, and that was just the team they ended up fighting. Now, Josh and Yomzo don't seem to have seen it that way. They think it was targeted. Yomzo is now quite upset with Clicks. I'm not really sure exactly what's going on there. There could be more going on behind the scenes than I'm seeing, but I do think Clicks, and he said this on stream, it was nothing personal.
I saw Yomzo and Josh's tweet. I'd be mad too. It's just that's the only way we could qual is by killing them, wiping them, and then winning the game. Which, like, as you guys can see, if we won that game in the quad. There's no, I don't like Zell. Like, serious. He had to. Yeah, had to. If you wanted any chance of qualifying.
But either way, I'm not going to get between the pros. But unfortunately, Josh and Yonzo ended up getting a dev chest which saved their game. And I say unfortunate for Kanata. Herb and Kanata were right on the edge of making land. And then Yonzo did this to them.
Clear by any means. It's only 30, 40 points separating. This is exactly what I'm talking about. This is shock and slow launcher. It launches you out, but while you're in the air, it's like that low gravity, slow to move, instantly deletes Kanata. The only blessing for Kanata right now is reboots are not turned off just yet. Yes, his loot is gone, not going to be able to get that one back, but at least you have a chance to continue to perform.
Why does it feel like if any team was going to miss out on qualifying land because that happened to them, it was going to be Kanata? In case you don't know how the Shockwave launcher works, the exotic version you don't use on yourself, you use it on your opponents, because as you see, it explodes through walls, it lifts you into the sky, and then you just get stuck there. You can't build, you can't jump, you can't move, there's nothing you do. You're just held up in front of everyone, and then they get the free refresh on him, which is kind of insane. Yomzo getting pushed by clicks into a random house he normally wouldn't loot, ends up looting it and gets an exotic dev chest. Just ridiculous turn of events, but it does mean that then Yomzo and Josh get the last land spot on 290 points, just beating out Scare and Osin in the end. Scare and Osin have been playing phenomenal. That is a super underrated duo. They've been doing really well in Battle Royale and Reload when they're uncontested in Battle Royale. Beating out another underrated team, Jace and Jagyu. Jace, a young up-and-coming player, only started competing a couple years ago, playing alongside Jagyu, who obviously was playing most recently with Kingling. Got dropped, split up. Most of the folks went on Kingling, but Jagyu playing extremely well. Then we had Curve and Kanata that dropped down to 7th place overall. We had Clicks and Higgs finish in 8th. Now, honestly, they didn't show much of Clicks and Higgs on the broadcast. As far as I've seen, it looks like they would just solo a lot. Clicks or Higgs would go down early, and one of them would have to solo clutch. Now, a lot of people were putting a lot of that focus on Higgs. I think Higgs pulled off some insane solo clutches, but Clicks was also the last one alive a lot, and Higgs actually went on stream after the tournament to say, look, that's my bad. Like, it's my bad as an IGL. We're getting split, and Clicks is going down. Clicks is getting hated on right now because I was clutching well as a solo, but as the IGL, it's my job to make sure that we don't become solos. So any Clicks fans who are scared that maybe Clicks and Higgs are going to split up, their placing's been good, but not great. They did start the season with a lot of top 1s, top 2s, like this is their season. Clicks going to win FNCS, but things haven't been going their way right now, but I wouldn't be panicked just yet. They have a coach, they have a mental coach, a lot of people around them right now. I think they're both very committed to sticking together, and it seems like they're trying to keep a good mentality on improving and focusing on their mistakes to get better. So they didn't do the best, but I wouldn't be panicking too hard if you're a Clicks fan. We had Dolzier and Ishu in 9th, the Canadian duo doing really well, 251, and then Reed and Veno in 10th. Now, Reed and Veno I feel like did really well to finish in 10th overall. They were taking a lot of super aggressive fights, but right at the very end, they fell off a bit. Got a 19th and an 18th in their last 2 games. Otherwise, they could have qualified. Now, you could say that for a lot of different teams, but Reed and Veno looking very good for a team that most people didn't have big expectations for. Veno and Reed ended up playing together because Veno couldn't play with Cold because Cold was with Rapid. Don't really know what Veno's now going to do in Reload, because if he's going to play with Peterbot as his actual duo, Pete and Poyo are now locked together for Reload, so it looks like it's most likely going to be Reed and Veno in Reload as well, and I do think this team definitely could qualify LAN on a different day. Yeah, again, I'm just leaving all this in the video at this point because let's be real, all these duos could change in 2 days, and it's probably good for you guys to know what's going on. Even with the new duos announced, they're probably going to change again. We do have to talk about some underperformances, unfortunately, outside the top 10. We had Cooper and Curly in 12th, who I'm not really sure what happened here. They were going Dirty Dogs. They were splitting it with Muzz and Sphinx like I predicted, and, you know, Muzz and Sphinx came 3rd. They've now come 12th. Bit unfortunate, not really sure what happened there. We had Ages and Richville that came in 13th. They were contested the whole tournament. Not only were they contested at Stilt Town by Dolzier, they were also getting W key by Peterbot a lot out of Slurpee, so it's just a really messy affair. Their stats were really good. They put up good damage and good elims despite being contested, so it sucks, but they did quite well, all things considered. Now, Booga Kingling actually came out the gates looking really good. A 5 elim 2nd and a 0 elim 7th, but 2 good games in a row. They did get quite a few other 7ths around there. They just didn't really crack that top 3 outside of that 2nd place, so it did hurt their points overall, but they did have some moments of brilliance. Now, Acorn and Bolts in 16th is a huge one, going from missing out on land by 1 point in the last qualifier to now getting 16th, and the answer is they got surprise contested. Dragon's team decided to contest them over at Logjam. It got really messy. Dragon was tweeting out a whole bunch of stuff. There was accusations that he was going to get paid to leave the drop to get service, and then Dragon was just crashing out. It was a pretty messy affair, I'm going to be honest, but Acorn and Bolts on the receiving end of that one do not qualify. 189 points. They're still looking crazy. It was a bad one because everyone knew that fight was going down. It was so public on social media. Other teams were third-partying and dropping on them as solos, trying to kill them and go back to their PY. It was just all-out warfare, and unfortunately, Acorn and Bolt, they will not be making land, at least from these two qualifiers. Moving on to EU, there's only one new team to talk about that I think is worth pointing out, Rax and SETI. Now, this does mean, unfortunately, for Savage fans who are hoping for it, you aren't going to see Savage and Rax. But I am excited to see Rax and SETI because they look really good. I know why Rax dropped SETI to want to try out with Queasy, against Queasy, global FNCS winner. But then once Queasy dropped him, I'm not really sure what happened there, whether Rax didn't want to play with SETI or SETI didn't want to give Rax a chance. I'm not sure why that duo didn't get back together, but they're now back together. They're grinding, and I think they're going to be looking very, very good. But the Elite Series, we had Shark and Teeny win it on 405. Man, this team is on a tear. This Shark kid is ridiculous. Again, Teeny, give him so much of the credit. Teeny is IGLing. Like, well, I think Teeny right now might be the best IGL in the game. He is playing so incredibly well in both game modes, so consistently. I don't think you can even argue that just based on placements right now. Between Battle Royale and Reload, no one is placing this good consistently except for maybe Rapid. And Teeny is just doing it. But I need to give credit to Shark because this kid is insane. Remember, he has still only made $3,000 from Grand Finals. And with this win now, his official earnings is taken up to $151,000. I think about $60,000 of this earnings is this season, in the off season. You know, all the pros being like, oh, there's no FNCS, this season's not worth trying it. Shark's made 60 grand this season. Like, this kid is on such a big blow up. I love seeing it. Again, his attitude seems really, really solid. He's locked in. He's not getting an ego over it. He's just staying grinded. Him and Teeny, you know, they're flexing it a little bit. You know, don't contest us. We're scary, but I like the way this team's playing right now. I really hope they keep this consistency going. But remember, they were already qualified to land. There's 3 spots on EU. The first land spot went to Yapko and Pans. I'm not really sure what happened to them this week in Battle Royale, because last week in Div 1 they looked phenomenal, and every time they were looking really good. This week in Div 1 finals went a little bit quiet. I thought, ooh, that's not a good sign coming into the finals of Elite Series, but no, apparently Reload their game mode, 370 points. The second land spot going to Vico and Malabuka, 333. Super happy to see this team finally found the strength we knew they could have. I've been gassing them up. You've been looking out for them. They've been a little bit quiet at the start of the season, but they're finishing strong. Then we had Chino and Pablo on 327. They're already qualified land as well. So the last spot rolled down to Khan and Faded. Now, if you don't know much about this team, understandable. Khan and Faded have made 1 grand finals in FNCS between them. Khan has made 0 grand finals, Faded has made 1. Now, the main reason why you would have heard of Faded is if I use his full name, Faded Pigeon. Yes, this is the one and only Faded Pigeon who managed to clip Prime Mongrel, and he has now made a land of it. I'm so happy for this guy. If you watch streams, if you follow the EU competitive team, you've probably seen him around grinding, been playing with the big name players, most recently Pradage. Split up with him, Khan, who is a Controlla IGL, by the way, so that means Khan and Teeny now 2 Controlla players making it to EWC on EU, which is a big deal. EU is the most mouse and keyboard dominated region, and I'm super, super happy to see Khan and Faded pull this off. They played extremely well. They got a 12 Elam win in their second game. They got 4 Elam second, 3 Elam fifth, 2 Elam third. They had an average placement of 9.25. They did extremely well, but they did only just beat out Hallie and Ilusha, who played extremely well in 6th place. Then we had Swizzy and Pixie, who were in 18th place going into game number 6. They managed to get an 8 Elam win and a 9 Elam win, thinking they could pull off the Cinderella run from 18th to land qual. And unfortunately got a 2 Elam 14th in their last game, dropping them down the leaderboard. Then we had Fastroki and Bevies, Truly and Xinox, and then Dam and Damas. Now, Dam and Damas were also right at the very top of the leaderboard in that land qual position. And in their second last game, they tried to pull off the strat you've seen Peterbot doing a lot, where people drop on one team, try to take them down, and if he gets eliminated off spawn, he just respawns back on Poyo. Dam and Damas tried this, but unfortunately, I think it was Damas who dropped away. Damas went down, then Dam got pushed at their drop spot, and he went down, and they both got eliminated in 20th. It was super unfortunate, and those points very well could have been the difference between them making land or not. But Dam and Damas were still looking very solid throughout most of the tournament, and it's worth mentioning, again, a lot of you guys confused on how the org signings work for Esports World Cup. Remember, if 2 players are signed to the same org, they can represent them at the Esports World Cup. If they do well, they get points for their org, which then gets them a share of the $20 million prize pool just for the organization. Now, this is a huge qualification both for EU, NA, and every other region, because the sign-off cutoff for these teams to be signed to orgs is April. And that cutoff is before the next Elite Series. So if orgs want to sign players who are guaranteed qualified, they now have the full list of people. So players like Khan and Faded, like Vico Malabuka, they're already in BIG, Yapko Panzer, potentially. They have big orgs, I'm sure, reaching out to them right now to sign them because rather than trying to bank on a team that might qualify, like you could sign, you know, like Ages and Ritual did with Gen G. Gen G signed Ages and Ritual assuming they're going to qualify, but there is still a world where maybe things go against them, they don't qualify. Now, I think they will, and as the qualifiers go on, more and more LAN spots roll down, it technically becomes easier to qualify, but when you have a guaranteed ticket to the LAN, you have a team that's already qualified, they're just worth that much more. So I'm very, very excited to see if we have any orgs kind of come out and make some big signings to some of these underrated teams because they've got a very good bargaining chip right now. We did have some underperformances on EU. Akira Karama, the Frenchies, despite being uncon, I was hoping they could get a LAN spot. They're down in 13th. Pradaj and Gonzo finished in 12th, but actually 4 games into the tournament, they were in the top 5, looking like they could go LAN. Then we had Chap and Flixie. I don't even know what happened here. Well, I kind of know. They were dropping Slurpee. They had half of Slurpee uncontested. They came out with a 5 elim win looking really good, and they started playing really aggressive, keying over towards Dam and Damus over at Fort Crumpet, and they just kept getting stuck in these really long drawn out early game fights that I just don't really feel like they needed to take. And then as they did worse and worse throughout the tournament, they needed to chase bigger and bigger games. Instead of needing like, you know, a 5-kill third, we need a 10-kill win. Now we need a 15-kill win. I think because they just had to keep going for those huge games to jump up and qual LAN, it just made them do worse and worse, and they finished in 16th overall, which I know they're going to be pretty unhappy with that placement for Uncon Slurpee. Don't forget, we're jumping straight back in the Div Cup, so if you want to see which duos are actually queuing up the tournament, do we have Pete and Poyo actually make it to a Div Cup, swing by my YouTube or Twitch stream. We'll be live all day watching the Div Cup qualifiers because this one could be very, very spicy. We have even more new duos, this time Mr. Savage, but this is the best Mr. Savage has looked with a new duo in a while. He is absolutely popping off. I want to talk about who it is and why they're looking so much better. I also want to talk about the new old duos like Pete and Poyo. They're back together again. Who's IGLing? Are the vibes off and how are they looking? I also want to talk about what is going on with FNCS next season. Has it been delayed? And what did Fortnite just announce about the divisional cups? Are you keeping your division or have you been grinding for nothing? We also have rumors of a big org signing Shark and Teeny. So let's talk about. Let's jump into it. Now, I don't normally make videos between day 1 and day 2, but there's a whole bunch of other exciting things I want to talk about on top of the Divisional Cup. And first off, it is that I think FNCS hasn't been delayed. Now, you're probably wondering, Ozzy, like, why are you even worried about that? Now, you have to remember, this season was supposed to be ending, like, today. We were supposed to be going into the new season right now. And I'm sorry to remind you of that. I know it is a little bit rough, but we are going into the new season now on the 19th, which is over 2 weeks delayed. And the way it was supposed to work was FNCS is meant to be starting in the first week of April. And I was a bit worried that if they push the season back by 2 weeks, that means FNCS might get pushed back by 2 weeks as well because they need to give people time to get Division 1. In case you guys don't know how the FNCS format works, and I can't even blame you because it's been like over half a year since we've had one, you need to be FNCS Division 1 to play the FNCS Opens. And if they're going to reset people's divisions like they normally do at the start of a new season, there's normally only like 200 people who get to stay inside Div 1, and then they start running the Divisional Cup and more people get to Div 1 before FNCS starts. But if the new season is starting on the 19th, that only leaves 2 weeks until FNCS starts, and I was a little bit worried until Fortnite Competitive tweeted out this. Your FNCS division at the start of Chapter 7 Season 2 will remain the same as it was in Chapter 7 Season 1. If you enter the season in Division 1, you will continue to be in Division 1. And then after FNCS Major 1, then they're resetting it. So that pretty much, to me, confirms the fact that FNCS is not getting moved. And I replied to this because Fortnite Competitive has been way more responsive to people on social media, and I was trying to bait a response. And I got it. I said, surely this means FNCS isn't being delayed, right? And they responded, don't scare me like that. Don't really know if that confirms it, but I'm pretty sure, I'm 99% sure, based on the fact that they're making people keep their division across seasons for the first time ever in Division 1, they're not delaying it. I think FNCS is going to kick off in April as it was meant to, which is amazing. Now, in case you guys are worried about this one, after FNCS Major 1, which is like, you know, at the end of April, they are resetting ranks. They said all of FNCS Major 1 finalists and Heats players will automatically be in Division 1, so as long as you make it to Heats or above, you'll stay in Division 1. All other players will be ranked by best placement on a cumulative leaderboard for any Division 1 Cup in Chapter 7-1 or Season 2, and Division 1 will be filled to the top 800 players. So it looks like they're going to keep 400 teams in Division 1 after the first FNCS. Everyone else, though, will go down to Division 2, or if you're below Division 2 or in Division 2, you'll stay that division all the way through. So if you do try to super hard to get to the 2 or Division 1, don't worry, you are going to keep it going into next season, but it could reset after FNCS depending on how well you've been placing. Next up, I want to talk about a potential huge org signing. We had Team Liquid tweet out a shark emoji. Now, for a lot of people following the Team Liquid Twitter page who aren't Fortnite fans are probably confused by that. If you're a Fortnite fan, it's not rocket science to figure out what they're referring to. This looks like Team Liquid will be signing Shark and Teeny, I'm guessing. Now, I'm kind of confused here though, because Malabuko, who's signed to Big, which is the same org Shark is on currently, replied, "No, please don't take him from us." And then Team Liquid responded, "Malabuko, we wouldn't do that to you." Don't really, now I'm kind of confused, but I just feel like that last response is a bit of a troll. I think they're just trying to throw people off the case. I'm 95% sure Liquid signing Shark, because I already called this a little while ago. Team Liquid was the org that came second in the Esports World Cup last year, so they potentially have the most to gain, if not the second most behind Falcons, on signing a good Fortnite roster. And they've been in Fortnite for a long time. Obviously, we had the OG Liquid roster. You know, we had Chap, Poach, Vivid, and 72 Hours. They were amazing, and you probably think, oh, Liquid stepped away from Fortnite. But no, they've actually had a whole bunch of Brazilian players signed since then and have been investing a lot of money into the Fortnite scene. So I'd be very surprised to see a team that's going into the Esports World Cup with a chance to win the whole thing, taking home $7 million, and they're just not going to pick up a Fortnite team. And right now, Shark and Teeny is a phenomenal team that's qualified land twice now, looking like probably the best reload team, and they're not as part of an org. Now, currently, we have Shark, who's part of BIG, the German org, but they already have Vico Malabuka as their team representing them. Again, you can only have one team representing your org at the Esports World Cup, so if they already have Vico Malabuka, then Shark's on the org providing, I'm not going to say no value, you still have Shark, a phenomenal up-and-coming talent who is producing a ridiculous amount of placements and content, but at the same time, he's worth a lot more to an org who wants him to compete for them at the Esports World Cup. And then you have Teeny, who's not part of an org right now. He is a free agent, so I am sure Liquid is going to be willing to pay more than what BIG would for Shark and Teeny. They're just worth more to them right now. So I have a feeling this is the signing from Liquid. Again, Liquid is a big org who wouldn't move super quickly, but you have to remember, Shark and Teeny already qualified in the first qualifier. So despite the fact they just won the second qualifier, I think this has probably been in the talks for a while now. I could be wrong, but again, I predicted this before Team Liquid even tweeted out a Shark emoji. This has to be what pushes it to basically 100% at this point. Let's talk about some new duos. Yes, we have new duos to talk about yet again because things have changed since yesterday. Now, Pete and Poyo did end up playing together again. I'll talk about how they went in the Div Cup in a little bit, but I want to talk about some of the new teams first. So we had Veno and Curve confirmed, like I said in my video. It turns out I was a little bit wrong. It looks like Veno is IGLing the early and mid game, and then we have Curve IGLing the end game, which is insane to me. Not because I don't think Curve's a phenomenal player. I've been watching Curve pop off for a while now, but if you told me Veno was going to come to NA to play with a Controlla Playa and it was going to be Curve, I wouldn't have believed you. Not because Curve's not amazing, but because it just doesn't seem like something Veno would do. But honestly, they look amazing. I have to, again, give a lot of credit here, I think, to the coach. I think Thomas5X is the one who's pulled this off, because I feel like if any of you guys watch or know Veno, you're probably as confused as I am. But it looks great, and I'm super happy Veno's willing to actually be IGL in the endgame by someone who is clearly very locked into the game right now and showing some huge potential. Not to mention the fact that Veno is an absolute demon at fragging out in rotating zones. In the Div Cups, he was dropping down and popping off. I think Veno is one of the best drop-down fraggers when it comes to endgame, so it does make sense. Now, unfortunately, one of the players who's been left without really any teammate is Kanata yet again. It feels like every snakening just has to end with Kanata without a teammate. Now, a lot of people were kind of imagining it would just be Reed and Kanata. I thought that might be the case as well, but Kanata went live to explain the fact that Reed only wanted to play with him if Reed was going to IGL, and Kanata just doesn't think that he should get IGL'd by Reed, which understandably has probably upset Reed a little bit. Doesn't really want to play with him now, which I get. Reed is, he said in my chat, sick of being disrespected. He said, look, I'm sick of playing with people who disrespect me. I'm going to pick up an underrated player. I'm going to get a coach. I'm going to pop off with them, and I'm going to prove people wrong. And that's exactly what Reed's doing. He's now playing with Harvey. You've heard me gassing up a bunch on my stream, so super happy to see Reed pull that one off. I think that is the best move for him. Reed seems to always get disrespected, and this is a good way to actually build up your stock. Now, as for Kanata, unfortunately for him, at least according to him, his options aren't looking very good. He listed out his options. It included people like G-Money and Eulogy, and he said, look, it's just, he's thought about quitting. Kanata openly said, I am considering quitting the game right now because I don't know why I can just never get good teammates. he mentioned he might end up going to West and playing with Arc. Again, the reason why Arc and Kanata split up is not because Kanata doesn't think Arc is crazy, it's because playing on Central from him being in West was just too hard. He couldn't come over because of school, his high ping was causing issues, but Kanata said he's now considering going to West and just winning everything with Arc. He said, I'd rather be the best player on West, just dominating, winning everything, than a top 10 team on Central. And with the way lands are, honestly, I kind of get that. Like, if you can go to West and win it, then you get a guaranteed 12 spot. So we might see Kanata do that in the Div Cup today. He ended up playing with Tyler. They did really well. Again, talk about that in a second, but definitely didn't seem like it was his first choice and definitely didn't seem like he was enjoying it. Before I go through the whole EU leaderboard, I get to talk about a new EU team because they're right near the top. Mr. Savage and Velo. Now, again, a lot of you guys, based on my stream chat, don't seem to know who Velo is. Velo's been playing with Cringe and playing exceptionally well. They've been qualifying on EU and NA multiple times every single week. Eval Cup, Div Cup, they've been popping off. I've talked about Velo a fair bit in my channel, but I feel like a lot of people haven't been paying as much attention to him. It's also a bit confusing because there's an NA West pro called Velo and an EU player called Velo. But after today's performance with Savage, he's definitely got a lot more eyes on him. Mr. Savage and Velo finishing in 10th on 443 points. By far the best Savage has looked in quite a while. Now, things kicked off a little bit shaky. They got a 0 Elim 50th in game 1, a 0 Elim 29th, and a 2 Elim 37th. So they were looking at about 6 points in 3 games. Things were looking very rough, but they brought it back. 4 Elim 9th, 3 Elim 9th, 8 Elim 6th, 4 Elim 10th, an 11 Elim win, 10 Elim 3rd, and an 8 Elim 8th. So Savage and Velo looking very, very good. And Velo's vibes have been what it looks like perfect. Savage was smiling, laughing the whole time. He's energetic. He likes to get loud, but he can lock in. And I think one of the major factors, he's really good at sticking to Savage in the end game. Running through the end game, they were like glued together, and it was making it look much, much better for Savage's playstyle. Now, Savage did still speak during their mid game about how he just doesn't feel that confident with the jetpacks. Velo himself saying like, look, some of these rotates are being good rotates, just feels like it's better if you're the one who chose them, you just die. And that's how it is sometimes. And I think it was probably nice for Savage to hear that as well. Takes the pressure off a little bit, but they were playing really well. So I hope they continue that on day 2. I hope they make finals because the vibes are looking great. Whenever I talk about Savage, I often talk about Mongrel, and normally I wouldn't, but there has been a development. So Mongrel and Turtle came in 100th on 283. So not a phenomenal day 1, enough where they could clutch it up with a big day 2, but Mongrel ended up streaming NA with a different teammate. Turtle and Mongrel both ended up playing the NA Division Cup, but not together. And I was a little bit worried about that. I thought maybe it's just they want a bit of space, maybe they don't play together too much. But Mongrel on stream before NA said that him and Turtle were DMing after the EU tournament and had a disagreement. Mongrel pointed out that 5 of the games they went down he thinks were very much Turtle's fault, despite the fact that Turtle was saying it was his fault. Mongrel then explaining that he doesn't do that. He doesn't like to just DM his teammate and blame them or flame them, but he's kind of sick of having everything put on him when he doesn't feel like it's his fault. So a lot of people who've been watching Mongrel streams right now have kind of been feeling the tension, whether it's between Mongrel and BloodX or Mongrel and Turtle. It does feel like things just kind of aren't working. I did tell my stream today, kind of feels like when you go hang out with your friends who are in a relationship and they've clearly just had an argument before they come out and hang out with you. It's just, you can just sense the tension. You can just feel that someone's about to explode. And that's what it feels like a little bit with Mongrel Turtle, which obviously isn't the greatest vibes. I don't know if this team will last another week. If they have another day like this on day 2, I can't see this team lasting much longer, which does suck a little bit. But Mongrel, again, handling it maturely. His community, I've got to give them credit. Seem to be rallying behind him and not making it super toxic, which I love. Mongrel's, brought his community a really long way recently with the way they treat Mongrel and the way they behave, which I think is very, very commendable. But yeah, Mongrel and Turtle, sadly, aren't looking too great right now. I think they've really got to turn things around quickly, or there will be a new duo for Mongrel yet again. Going through the rest of the leaderboard, at the very top, we had Vico and Malabuka finishing first on 646 points. Now, these players predicted this. At the start of Vico's stream, Malabuka and him were talking about how Malabuka has to fly home tonight from his boot camp. He's been boot camping in Germany, and he's going to have to play day 2 on like 0 sleep and way higher ping. And Vico said, all right, sweet, let's just pull in one day, then let's go out there and drop 20 bombs. And that's what they did. They got like a 19 kill win, 15 kill 5th, 15 kill 2nd, 18 kill win, 22 kill 4th. Like, they went out and dropped 114 eliminations in 10 games. So absolutely popped off. Now, I hope a lot of this team's success over the last couple weeks hasn't been due to Malabuka being at the boot camp, being on 0 ping, because I've been loving seeing this team absolutely dominate. Again, there are only some div cups to close out the season, so if Malabuka goes back home and they're not looking as crazy, it won't be as bad as obviously the elite qualifiers. They got their land spot. Malabuka's trip was clearly worth it, but they have been absolutely popping off this last week. In second place, again, no surprise to anyone, Shark and Tini. They're the top 3 of every leaderboard on EU right now, 506. We had Cheeto and Pablo on 505. Wox and Vanya on 505, which I'm very happy to see again. Vanya's been a little bit quiet this season. Him and Wox, after last week, a lot of people thinking they might split up, myself included. They stuck together, they vote review, they clearly worked out something, and their opens at least is looking much better. And then we had Chuck and Velry in 5th. Moving on over to NA, if you're worried about how Virgo was going to do without Harvey now playing with Reed, well, Shadow and Virgo have gotten back together and they're instantly in form, 635 points, just beating out Cooper and Curly on 597. Now, Cooper and Curly actually kicked off the tournament with a 4-win streak. They managed to get an 18 kill, 7 kill, 14 kill, and 9 kill win back to back to back to back. Now, again, the rest of the tournament didn't go as well, but still looking very, very good. Then we had our brand new Battle Royale duo. Again, we've been watching them in Reload, but to no surprise, Cold and Rapid came out and absolutely popped off. Third place on 582 points, getting a 26 and 29 elim win in their first 5 games, showing that this duo obviously can pop off in both game modes. We had AIDS and Ritual in 4th on 568, Muzz and Sphinx in 5th on 551, and then Peterbot and Poyo, our duo, is back together again. They managed to get a 13th on 478, with one of their wins being a 36 elimination win in Div 1. So this team is obviously still popping off. Now, I know you guys have the big question. Who is IGLing? What is going on? Are they looking better? Now,